All right, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. I would like to begin by acknowledging that Mayor Gerald W. Tamboro, who served in elected office in Monroe for 19 years, passed peacefully on December 31st, Thursday, in his family's presence. It was my pleasure to interact with Mayor Tamboro on more than one important occasion affecting the schools, and I will always remember him as being the epitome of a gentleman, not only in the exquisite way that he was always dressed, but more so by the very humble, polite, and warm demeanor that he always displayed. I would like to begin the meeting with a moment of silence, offering us a brief opportunity to reflect and pay our respects to Gerald W. Tamboro. Thank you for the indulgence. Good evening and Happy New Year. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Alvik, Dr. Lehman, Board of Education members, elected and those already sworn, and all the community members watching virtually to this Board of Education organization meeting. This meeting is now called to order. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting by having the electronic notice provided by having the date, time, and place thereof posted December 18th, 2020 at all schools, on the district website at https://www.monroe.k12.nj.us/ the Home News Tribune, the Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality. To make a public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. When you are called on to speak during public forum, your microphone status will be set to unmute. Please do not attempt to unmute yourself, as this may cause your microphone to stay muted. When called upon, you will be given the option to share your device's camera with the rest of the panelists and attendees during your speaking time. If you choose to do this, simply click the video camera icon. After you are unmuted, please state your name and address. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 4 minutes duration or less in accordance with Board Bylaw 0167. After you are finished speaking, you will be muted again and your permission to share your camera will be disabled. And we ask that you please remember to turn off the raise your hand feature once you have concluded. And would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is a unique Board of Education meeting where it begins without a board president acting as chair. The board president normally acts as chair and conducts the meeting in accordance with Robert's rules. As board secretary, it is my responsibility to chair the meeting until such time after the successful nomination for board president is completed. Moving on with the agenda, the election results have been confirmed and certified by the County Clerk of Elections. The County Clerk of Elections is the responsible party for running the election. Results have been provided to all the members of the board and the board electees as an agenda link to the meeting, and they are also posted to the district website. So at this time, I will go to number 5 on the agenda, statutory oath. Ms. Arminio? I can't hear you. Ms. Arminio, you're frozen.
Okay, there we go. Could you please read the election results? We generally, I thought it would be good for the public to see the election results. I know they can read them, but could you please read them?
Bear with me 1 second.
Michelle, your audio is very grainy. Do you maybe have something over your microphone or something?
I don't think so. I don't know if it's Mr. Feldman. Am I supposed to unmute or are you supposed to unmute me? Would that be?
No, I think he's helping Mr. Gagliardi. No, Mrs. Arminio, you can mute and unmute yourself. It's just the speakers at public forum that what we have to mute.
Okay, I don't know why, but it's been the device I've been using all along. But I'm sorry, Mr. Minister, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Arminio. The election certified results, which again are available on the website and as in an attachment link to the agenda, have the first place first place vote cast for Ms. Christine Skirby with 10,885. Second place was Ms. Kathleen Belko with 10,386. Third place, Ms. Karen Bierman with 9,323.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Okay. Number 5, it is now my duty and responsibility to administer the oath of office to the following 4 individuals: Ms. Kathleen Belko, Ms. Karen Bierman, Ms. Christine Skirby, and Mr. Paul Rutsky, the Jamesburg representative. You've all been provided with the statutory oath, and I would appreciate if you would say the oath with me leading the way virtually. And then as approved by our board counsel for this virtual meeting, please sign the oath and then take a picture of it with your phone and email me the JPEG. Having witnessed you sign it, I will then sign as a witness, and this will be a formal document of your oath. Are all the 4 members ready?
Yes.
Very good. I, please state your name,
I, Paul Rutsky,
Christine Belko.
do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will
support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the
Constitution
Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and
and
that
that I will
bear
bear
true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments established
to the same
the same and to the government
established in the United States
in the United States
in the United States
and this state,
and this
and
state,
state
under the authority of the people, so help me God.
under the
the
authority
authority
of the people,
so help me God.
help me
God.
I, please state your name,
I, Kathleen Belko,
Paul Rutsky,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
or affirm
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I
possess the qualifications prescribed by law,
the office of member of a Board of Education,
the office of
member
member
of the Board of Education,
and I will faithfully,
and I will
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
justly perform
and
justly
perform
all the duties of that office
all the
all the
duties
duties
of
of
that
that
office
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
Me God.
I state your name,
I, Kathleen Belko,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do
do solemnly
solemnly
swear
swear or affirm
and declare
and
and
declare
declare
that I am not disqualified as a voter
that I am
that I
not
am not
disqualified
disqualified as a voter
pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
pursuant
pursuant to
to
RS
19
19:4-1,
-1,
and that I am not disqualified to hold this office
and I am
I
not
am not
disqualified
disqualified to
this
hold
office
this office
due to a conviction of a crime or offense
due to
a
conviction
conviction of a
from
crime or offense
listed in NJSA 18A 12-1,
listed
listed in
NJSA
NJSA
18A 12.
so help me God.
So help me
So
God.
help me God.
Please sign the document. Once again, take a picture with your phone and please email it to my district email account. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, as I'm waiting for those emails, I will take a roll call for all the members of the Board of Education. Ms. Arminio,
Here,
Ms. Belko,
Here.
Ms. Pearman,
Here.
Mr. Chiarella,
Here.
Mr. Nicotinsky.
Here.
Record that as a here. Mr. Pelori,
Here.
Mr. Rutsky,
Here.
Ms. Siegel,
Here.
Ms. Skirby,
Here.
Mr. Tefano.
Here.
Let it be known that we have a quorum present this evening. We will now move to the next item on the agenda, number 7, election of a board president. I will now open the nomination process. Is there any member who wishes to nominate anyone seated on the board for board president?
I would like to nominate Michelle Arminio.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chiarella nominates Ms. Arminio. And although a second's not required, I will note that as being seconded by Ms. Skirby. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Are there any other nominations for president of the Monroe Township Board of Education? Once again, are there any other nominations for president? Hearing none, I will close the nomination process for president and proceed with a roll call for the only candidate for president, Mrs. Michelle Arminio, where your vote of yes is a vote for Ms. Arminio for board president. Okay. Mr. Chiarella, how do you vote for Ms. Arminio for board president?
Yes.
Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Mr. Tefano,
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky,
Yes.
Ms. Arminio,
yes.
Ms. DeMayo.
The mayor's not here.
Wrong list.
I beg your pardon, I was working off a wrong sheet. Bear with me 1 second. Please let me begin that again. Mr. Chiarella,
Yes.
Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Mr. Tefano,
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Still a yes.
Thank you. Ms. Arminio.
I guess it's yes again, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Belko,
Yes.
Ms. Bierman,
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pelori,
What do you say, Michelle? Should I say yes?
That's up to you, sir. It's free will.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kirby.
Yes.
All members unanimously endorsing Ms. Arminio for the board president. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. May I say something?
Acceptance speech.
Yes, ma'am.
Very quickly, it's my expectation, all the board members of the 2021 members of the Board of Education, all of us will bring new and innovative ideas to the district table. I thank you for your vote, but we're a team, and I think we will be able to lead by good example and make student achievement our top priority. So I thank you all, and I welcome first the new members to the board, Chrissy Skirby, Kate Delco, and Karen Bierman. Welcome to the table. And I would also like to thank all the participants of Monroe Township for coming out and listening to our board. You are why we are here. I'd also like to send condolences to the mayor's family. And two, I would also like to recognize the outgoing board members, Steve Rybeck, Kathy Kolpanowicz, and Jill DeMayo. Monroe Township thanks them for their service. And I hope that we move forward. And thank you. Shall I continue?
Okay, Ms. Arminio, would you please assume the chair of the remainder of the meeting?
Yes, sir.
And on the next agenda item, would you kindly open the nomination process for board vice president?
Certainly. We will now open the nominations for vice president. Do I hear a nomination, please?
I would like to nominate Adi Nicotinsky for vice president.
Mr. Chiarella nominates Mr. Nicotinsky, and we don't need a second, but if anyone cares to, that would be
I'll
fine.
second it.
That was Mr. Tofano. Thank you, sir. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Mr.
Yes, Michelle. It's my pleasure and honor to nominate Rupa Siegel to be the Vice President of the Board of Education for Monroe Township.
Okay. Again, it's not necessary for a second, Mr.
Michelle, it's Paul. I'd love to second that nomination for Rupa to be Vice
Thank you.
President.
So we have two nominations for vice president. We have Mr. Nicotinsky and Ms. Rupa Siegel. Shall we do one at a time, I believe?
Formally, first we have to close the nomination process if there are no other nominations.
I'm sorry. Anybody else would like to nominate someone for vice president?
Motion to close.
Okay, second.
So moved.
So moved. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, we will need two separate roll calls, beginning with the first nomination, Mr. Nicotinsky, and a vote yes is your endorsement for that person for vice president.
So quick
Ms.
question.
Arminio.
Before we go to a vote,
Mr. Pelori has a question.
Andy has his hand up.
My question is that would the candidates be given an opportunity to say why they're standing or anything like that? Because we have two separate candidates and what their qualifications are.
If they choose to, if someone would, is there anyone who would like to speak before the vote?
Michelle, I will speak. It's Rupa.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you, Andy and Paul, for your nomination. I have been serving this school district and this community for the last 11 and a half years, serving as PTO and PTA presidents and officers throughout the district. I've been part of different hiring committees for principals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, and have held several leadership roles in this township. Serving on the board the last 2 years, I have been really building my resume and making enhancing my trainings and knowledge as a board member to make sure that I understand the role of a board member and to really understand how the board functions. So I bring a wealth of knowledge. I've been trying, even through this pandemic, to continue to develop my skills as a board member. I've been attending different sessions like the school law forums and attending a lot of the virtual workshops and trainings that school board has been providing. So I do feel, in an effort to continue to build continuity through our board, that I would love to take on this role to continue building and working with the community and the board members to make sure we're bringing the best opportunity and providing the best to our school community as a whole, our students and our teachers. And, trying to really work with everyone. And I do bring another area that I have strong background is my professional development. In my career, my area of expertise is training and development and organizational development and human performance and curriculum design. So I am looking forward to serve. Michelle, I know you and I have worked really well together on negotiations this year, and I look forward to working with you if the board will go ahead and vote that way. Thank you.
Mr. Nicotinsky, would you care to say anything?
No, don't need to.
Okay. Okay, then I think we shall open for the vote. Mr. Gorski, roll call, please.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Nicotinsky. That's right.
Yes, the first roll call will be for Mr. Nicotinsky for Board Vice President. A vote of yes is your endorsement for Mr. Nicotinsky for Board Vice President. Ms. Arminio,
Yes.
Ms. Belko,
Yes.
Ms. Bierman,
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella,
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky.
I guess so, right? Sure.
To abstain for themselves, by the way? I know we did this for the president too. but-
No, the rules are such that you can vote for yourself, you can nominate yourself.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Pelori,
No.
Mr. Rutsky,
So a no.
so that's a no, thank you. Ms. Siegel,
No.
Ms. Kirby,
Yes.
Mr. Tefano,
Yes.
that is 7 yays. That is enough to carry, but we still have to do a roll call for the second nominee.
Mr. Gorski, may I interrupt you, sir?
Yes,
As president, should I be called on last?
if you wish.
Yes, please.
Okay. Nominee number 2 is Ms. Rupa Siegel for nomination for Board Vice President. Ms. Arminio.
No, I'll wait.
Oh, I beg your
until-
pardon, you're going to go last. Ms. Belko,
No.
Bierman,
No.
Mr. Chiarella,
No.
Mr. Nicotinsky,
No.
Mr. Pelori,
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky,
Yes.
Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Ms. Skirby,
No.
Mr. Tefano,
Nope.
and Ms. Arminio.
No, thank you.
Recorded as a no, so that's 3 yays and 7 nays. Mr. Nicotinsky has been elected Board Vice President. Congratulations.
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 Say something real quick.
Please do.
I'd like to congratulate our new board members. And for years, the Board of Ed has been clouded by personal and political agendas, mistrust, and lack of transparency. Tonight, we as a community will start a new chapter to restore the public's faith and trust to the Board of Education. My promise to our community and staff is that we will have a mutual partnership in the pursuit of full transparency and accountability. We will be partners with one mission, and our mission will be is to provide the highest quality education for our kids and ensure being fiscally conservative to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gorski, I believe we have the code of ethics.
Yes, Ms. Arminio, I would like to recommend to the members of the Monroe Township Board of Education to acknowledge receipt of and acceptance of the New Jersey School Boards Association Code of Ethics and the code of conduct for remote meetings. May I have a first and a second?
First, I'll motion.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Tufano. We will now have a roll call, if it pleases the chair.
Before we do that, once the roll call is established, and I would expect that we will approve this, everyone needs to sign it and also get it back. They don't need to take a picture of it today. Can they send it in tomorrow?
Yes, they can feel free to mail it or drop it off at the business office.
Okay, or either that or I'll collect it from everyone if they wish, and I'll bring it to the business office if they choose. But roll call, please.
Michelle, may I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Does this have to be electronic signature? We can just email it to Mike, or does it have to be a wet signature?
We have
Original
our
signature.
attorney here, so can we have our attorney answer? What, you're muted, sir.
You're on mute.
You are muted.
Sorry about that. Congratulations, Madam President, and congratulations to the new board members. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you. The question is very straightforward. There are a number of executive orders that were put in place as a result of the pandemic, and one of them is to acknowledge in all realms the validity of an electronic signature in lieu of a wet signature.
Okay, so those who choose then, sir, those who choose to sign it the old-fashioned way with the pen and paper can submit it to the board, and those who choose to do it electronically, should they email or is a snapshot good enough?
Same is true. Snapshot or email would be satisfactory and valid.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Flores, is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Gorski or anyone else before we, yes, Ms. Belko.
Ready for a roll call.
I have a question. I have a question. I have a question about the code of conduct for remote meetings. I find it to be quite verbose, and I find that some of the things are duplicate of what should happen in meetings and really not pertain to remote meetings. They pertain to all meetings, which if we're just going to develop. So was this a document that was previously adopted by the previous board? That's my first question. My second question, was this document designed and put together by the New Jersey School Board Association? Because there's nothing on here to tell me where this document came from, who was the author, when was it approved. I did some research last night. Mr. Gorski, could you mute yourself? I can hear you moving your papers.
Beg your pardon.
I'm sorry. And so I spent a lot of time trying to research where this document lived in our policies and if it lived anywhere in our minutes, and it doesn't. So unless I just didn't look in the right places, I'm still learning. So pardon me for if there was anything, because I have some suggestions on how we can change this document to make it a little bit less verbose and also just to the point about exactly the conduct of personal meetings. And some of it, it's just a matter of removing stuff that's duplicative, as well as just decreasing the language to say things simply. One of my biggest objections is number 2 on the code of conduct for remote meetings, and it says we will respect the role of meeting presider, board secretary, and the superintendents in accordance with our bylaws. I wrote up language that I felt that we should respect the role of the president of the meeting and respect those who are acknowledged by the presider as having the floor following parliamentary procedure, because I truly believe that all members of this board should be respected, not just certain members of the board. That's that's how I feel about that. But if no one else feels, the same, that I'm fine with that. But I just felt some discussion on this particular document would be worth having.
It would be my guess that because the title of it is New Jersey School Board's Member Code of Ethics, could I ask our administration if it was designed by our administration, or did we get it directly from our school board? And if so, where on school boards can we find it?
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am.
So this was a document that was reviewed by the policy committee. I believe it was September or October. I'm not sure of the exact month that it was reviewed. And then it was brought to the Board of Education, and the Board of Education at the time did say that they wanted this document included with the code of ethics for the new boards. From my recollection, it came from school boards.
Mr. Gagliardi, can this go back to policy before it is signed, before the next meeting, if we so choose?
That's your prerogative, Madam President.
Well, do we have a time frame with which to sign this, or must it be done tonight?
The requirements are that you, of course, abide by the ethics rules. I think that the requirement that it be done tonight is imposed by the board. It's certainly not imposed by state law. So you have to have ethics training, and you have to have an acknowledgement of this policy. It's not required that it be done at your reorganization meeting.
Okay, so I'll have Mr. Polari speak, and then I will ask if anyone wants to table this to the next meeting. Mr. Polari?
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with Ms. Belko for suggesting the changes. I think it has to really fit our Board of Education, our district, and I think the document could have been pretty generic, given the history of how this board has conducted itself in the past. Anything that we can put in place that would streamline the process better, I'm personally all for it. So it's just a matter of making sure that everybody gets a chance to review the document before it goes up for a vote. Other than that, I support what Mrs. Belko is suggesting.
So that's the one. That's the first one, Ms. Belko, the code of conduct. The next one is the School Ethics Act. That is by statute. That is 18A:13-21, and that's the short title. That I believe we are mandated to accept. Am I correct, Mr. Gagliardi?
You are correct, Madam President.
And does that need to happen tonight?
Typically, a Board of Education, I don't know what you have on your agenda, but typically that's one of the standard things that a Board of Education does at its reorganization. And I certainly wouldn't want this board to be in a position where it suggested it wasn't going to follow state law. So I think that's a pro forma thing that you ought to do.
Ms. Belko, is that satisfactory? And does anyone else have a question?
Oh, absolutely satisfactory to me. I mean, we have to follow the law. Absolutely.
So the first one, code of ethics, that was, we can send, I guess we will have a vote on that, whether we should table it tonight and send it back to, we'll try to get a policy meeting before the next meeting so we can clean this up by the January 20th meeting, I believe, is our next meeting.
Madam President, if I may, it's not been moved and seconded, so you don't need a motion to table. As chair, you have the prerogative to refer an item to committee. So if that's your decision, you can refer the code of ethics, the board code of ethics, to the committee, and then just ask for a motion to acknowledge and accept the statutory code of ethics.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a motion by Mr. Chiarella and a second by Mr. Tufano. That was for both items, I believe.
Okay, so will we need to ask Mr. Chiarella to amend his motion to just include the School Ethics Act?
Or preferably to have someone table the second part, the remote meeting section, till the next meeting.
I'll motion to table the second part on remote meetings.
We need a second?
I'll second it.
Shall we take a roll call, or is there any other discussion?
Madam President, there are no discussions on a motion to table.
The table, you're right. I did read that in Robert's rules, thank you. But we need a roll call, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Rutsky. Mr. Rutsky, how do you vote on motion to table?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Ms. Bierman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pelori,
Yes.
Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Ms. Skirby,
Yes.
and Ms. Belko.
Yes.
Did I miss anyone? Ms. Siegel,
You did.
You got me
Ms.
ready.
Siegel,
Yes, but you got me
And,
ready.
please, and Michelle Arminio.
Mr. Minio, you vote yes?
Yes.
All right, motion to table for the remote learning code of ethics has been tabled. On the floor still remains the code of ethics. As moved by Mr. Chiarella, seconded by Mr. Tufano.
Any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Bear with me 1 second. 1 second. Okay, Ms. Arminio, I'm going to call Ms. Arminio last. Ms. Belko,
Yes.
Ms. Bierman,
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella,
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Nick. That was a yes from Mr. Nicotinsky. Mr. Pelori.
Yes.
Mr. Rudsky,
Yes.
Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Ms. Skirby,
Yes.
Mr. Tufano.
Yes.
Madam
Yes.
Board President, Code of Ethics has been passed by the Board of Education.
I vote yes as well. Okay, thank you, and I like already the collaboration, so thank you, Ms. Belko. And I hope everybody feels free to, for such collaboration. I believe the next item on the agenda is the public forum, am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, may we open the public forum, please? I think we need a motion to open the public forum.
No motions needed, just open, as long as Mr. Feldman's ready, we can open.
Yes, 1 second. Give me about 10 seconds.
And can you also let us know how many participants we have on the?
Okay, Madam Board President, we have 5 members of the public now that have their hand raised. I'll keep you updated if more are added. The first is first person I'm going to call. If you could just announce if you do want to show your video, I'll kindly give that to you. If not, just state that, and we'll just have audio. The first up is Brian Fabiano. If you could please state your name and address. Thank you, Brian.
Brian Fabiano, 19 Patricia Place. I'll keep it short and sweet. Just wanted to say congratulations to the new members of the board. I think it's long overdue that change was needed in this town, certainly in our education system, and it's nice to see so many new faces here. I know there's a lot of talk about transparency, and that's something that many of us in this town have looked for a long time, and I know it's a word that certainly excites me to be able to understand more of what's going on, in our schools, and to have that, ability. I think the other thing I would challenge this board to do, in terms of, goals, in addition to transparency, I'd like to see, inclusiveness. For a long time, we've heard, different parts of the town, North Monroe, South Monroe, West Monroe, Skyrocket Monroe. At the end of the day, we are one Monroe. It doesn't matter, what your demographics are, what your background is, who you know, who you don't know. Everybody should have the same access. And I'd like to see the board, obviously include that, if you're going to be transparent, let's make it one for all. We are a community just as we expect this board to be a community, to drive the education system home for our kids. So congrats, look forward to working with you guys. I know there's a huge backing behind you. Obviously the numbers don't lie in the voting strength that came out. So we have high expectations, and we know you guys will deliver a cohesive team here. So thanks so much.
Okay, next on the list is Anthony Prezioso. Anthony, please say your name and address for the board. Thank you.
Mr. Prezioso?
Madam Board President, I'll move on to the next person and I'll try Mr. Prezioso one more time.
Thank you.
Toward the end. Madam Board President, we have Tim Ioso.
No, I would like not to be seen. Tim Esso, 2 Alton Court, Monroe. I just want to state Happy New Year to the residents of Monroe, as well as our board members, new and old. Obviously, through the amount of votes received on election day for our newly sworn in board members, the town has spoken, and it's for the good. With that said, I want to congratulate Michelle Arminio on her position to board president. Michelle, I've been watching you for the last couple of years, and the way you handle yourself is the way everybody should handle themselves in that forum. And transparency and honesty have always been your top priority. And as far as Adi, I don't know you that long, but I know your credentials, far surpass your and it's very nice to see you in that position as well. Guys, it's now time for change. As a resident, I personally, and many that I've spoken to today, feel that it's time for change. I expect only true transparency from this point on. So do the rest of the residents of Monroe. This is including but not limited to transparency in the way of OPA requests and how they're handled, how ethics violations are handled before and after state decisions are made, and if in fact an ethics violation is found true by the state, that this board handles that violation appropriately and is not swept under the rug, as it had seemed to be done in the past. I also want to stress that the duty of all board members, new and old, are to do what is best for all of our children, all the children of Monroe and their parents, and not just your own. It is to help our children grow and prosper in our great community without prejudice or, I'm going to quote, vindictiveness. You are elected to this board to represent the children and their parents, and it should be as such. I also, as a resident, I don't want to see personal gain, okay, through state and local politics of this board, and neither do the abundance of people I spoke today, and I'm speaking to their behalf as well. So this is just not my speech. This is a speech for a lot of residents who knew that this board needed change and put it into effect. And with that said, I just want to let everybody know on that board that and we all are, looking for a new beginning, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Madam Board President, we now have Prakash Param. Prakash?
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear me, please? Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. Congratulations to the ball won the election. I know it is not easy to be on the Board of Education. You all set aside your family time and come here for the meeting. And I'm sure that you all have come and been elected because you have your heart to serve for the children. So most challenging things are front of you. I do not have to say this is ongoing, overcrowding of the school. And as we are in the hybrid or remote, it's an opportunity to do some expansions, limited expansions, at least modular expansions to accommodate our children. And I request no more temporary trailers because we don't want to pay for 5 years and they disappear, the money wasted. I will request you all to improve the ranking of the school, enhance STEM education, that's the future. Everyone, STEAM, also fully support our special education, sports, and academics because our students have the best all. And I request everyone plan the way the committees are formed. So with a goal decided, everyone coordinate with the council, mayors, and legislatures, commissioners of now freeholders are called commissioners of Minister County, NJ Board of Education to get funding and whatever funding capacity, work with the corporations to get funding and expand our school. I want our school to be vibrant, where we have the best school systems, and I want to enhance it further. So congratulations and thank you.
Madam Board President, we have Sajeev Ravedran.
Yes, hi. I want to wish all the board members Happy New Year. I want to also congratulate, I'm sorry, this is Rajiv Ravindran, 8 George Allen Code, Monroe. I'm excited, as you can see, to see a lot of new board members and the change that we've been waiting for quite some time. I'm excited, I'm hopeful, and I'm also eager to see new ideas, new thoughts, and also, like everyone said, more transparency. We have a lot of problems in the school district. I think our goal as a board should be our kids, and there's no reason we can be the #1 school district in New Jersey, and why just New Jersey can be the #1 school district in the nation, right? So I just want to leave you all with my best wishes, our support. We'll all keep you, I guess we will keep you to the promises that you made. At the same time, I'll leave you with a quote, and I think this is a quote from Mandela. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we might just catch excellence, right? And that should be our goal. And I want you all to challenge yourselves to come up with, intelligent, smart, and workable solutions for our school district. Thank you.
Mr. Ravindran, this is Michelle Arminio. Could I appeal to you to send that quote to the board email? I would very much like to keep that. Thank you.
Of course, I would. I'd be happy to.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Board President, looks like we have 4 more on the list. Michael Olewski, you're up. Can you please state your name and address? Thank you, Mike.
Good evening. My name is Michael Oleski, 50 Mayberry Avenue, from of course, Monroe Township. I want to start off with a quick question. I think this question was asked, but maybe I just didn't listen to the answer. How many folks are on the call tonight from the public?
We didn't get that answer, Mr. Oleski, so if Mr. Feldman would be so kind as to let us know.
Yes, as of now, we have 76 members of the public.
Okay, that's pretty good. And of course, I guess my comment to that is, democracy is certainly alive and well here in Monroe Township. We can't have a better proof of that statement than what's happened here. A couple other questions, I guess, in a way. One was on 2 occasions, just so you folks know, I did send an email to the county clerk asking for a tabulation of the write-in votes. There were 150 write-in votes in our Board of Education election last year. And 2 times I've not gotten any kind of an answer back. And the reason I was asking, and maybe it's a question everybody would like to hear. Well, apparently a number of voters around the town thought there were others that were capable candidates for the Board of Education. I would certainly like to see who those people are. And I wonder if there's any means by which you folks could maybe get that information maybe for the next meeting.
I suppose we can look into that. We can send a letter to the county clerk asking for that information. Mr. Oleski, we could also post it perhaps, but we'll try to get it to you for the next meeting.
Okay, and in the meantime, if I were to get an answer back, I'll let you folks know.
Oh, great. Yep.
Couple other quick comments. I'm sitting here and I always get nervous when I talk online. Now, my guess is I'll bet you there's a lot of other people that are probably listening, of those 76 people and many more people that maybe might want to send an email to you folks. Is it possible to do that before a meeting and have someone read the email with a response during the meeting, during the public forum?
Ms. Arminio?
Yes, please, Mr. Gorski.
Yes, I believe that's disclosed in the agenda for the meeting. there is a way to submit your questions in advance to my office, and they would be asked at the board meeting and answered if possible at the board meeting.
Okay.
I'd like the emails to be sent to, if you want you, that's fine, Dr. Alvick and myself, if that's possible, please.
I believe now they've been going to Nancy Tagliaferro, my secretary. If you would like them changed to Dr. Alvick and yourself, that's no objection.
Along with Nancy, that's fine. Yeah, just so we know in advance of that, that would be acceptable. Thank you.
If we're moving on next, Madam Board President, we have Ghazala Bora. Ghazala, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, this is Ghazala Bora, 1 Miko Drive. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. Congratulations to all the new Board of Ed members who just got sworn in today, and heartiest congratulations to Michelle Arminio for taking on the role of the president, and Adi Nikitinsky for the vice president. And I do want to make a special note to Mrs. Balco. I think if there is an example for hitting the ground running, you proved it today. It was very impressive how you started out. I'm extremely hopeful for what lies ahead with this new board group. I do also want to thank the Board of Ed members that left Mr. Ryback, Mrs. Kalapanovic, and Mrs. DeMeo. Thank you for your service. I do have one question for Dr. Alwick tonight. It's regarding the hours of remote learning. I have a high schooler and 2 middle schoolers, and I feel like there are other districts, neighboring districts, that are offering more in terms of hours of remote learning. I do see that the elementary school children have more hours of remote learning here in Monroe compared to high school and middle school. And I think it is, especially at high school age, they do need those blocks to be longer. They do need a little bit more. We have been in this state for so long. It's going to be a year soon, and I wish that we can change that. So my question was, is there any possibility of increasing the hours of remote learning for middle and high school to make the blocks bigger and maybe stretch into an afternoon session after taking a lunch break at the usual time of school closure? Thank you.
Yes, so that's definitely something we're looking at, is what the next phase of remote instruction is going to look like. It's something that we work with our administrators, we work with our teachers. We also have to follow our teachers' contracts, so that's all part of it, and it's all part of our reopening plan. So yes, as we move forward and we reopen for hybrid again later this month, we are looking to do that for possibly the third marking period. But again, we have to be very cognizant because of lunches in school. So there's many things that we have to consider as we're moving forward with that. But yes, we are looking to do that.
Madam Board President, we still have 3 people on the list. Betty Saab. Betty, please state your name and address. Thank you.
Betty Samarito to Barrymore Drive, and I do not need video. First and foremost, Happy New Year to all of you. To the incoming board members, congratulations. On a personal note, I am so incredibly proud of all of you, and we are privileged to have you on our board. Mr. Arminio, Mr. Nikitinsky, congratulations on your positions. Mrs. Arminio, I have told you many
You're, Mr. Betty, you are, really, I don't know if we can clean up your audio. Mr. Feldman, is there a way that we can help?
Betty, I'm going to put you on pause for right now. I'll maybe try to reconnect to the meeting. I'm having a
we have board liaison and 90% of pledges is going to be virtual. So if you just put that on
Mr. Feldman, when this happens, do you have a phone number that members of the public can call in?
Yes, we do have a number. I believe that is posted before the meeting as well, but I'm trying to just see what's going on with Betty. Betty, we're going to move on, and if you could rejoin the meeting, I'll put you right up when you're on. We're just having some trouble hearing you. Next, we have Ram Raghunath, Madam Board President.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, Ram, you are up. Okay, I'm going to move to the next person. Ashok Reddy, you are now up. Can you please state your name and address?
Yeah, hi. This is Ashok Reddy Narayana, 23 Harvest View Drive, Monroe Township, New Jersey. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you, and congratulations to the newly elected board members, and to Madam President and Vice President. Congratulations to all of you. Personally, I'm very, very excited about this, the direction that we're going to go with the BOE, with all the new elected members. I could see the change already coming in, the way that Michelle is managing and organizing the discussions, and people are chipping in with their thoughts. So I'm very happy personally. I do have a question. I know I wanted to echo what Ms. Gajala said earlier in the call regarding the longer hours for the middle school and high school, specifically to the high school, because it is very, very critical for the kids to get as much exposure into what the education is all about, and prepping them for the upcoming college and the other life charges that they're going to take. So I know Ms. Dory did reply back, but I would urge, I mean, a lot of other townships are already doing these full day schedules. So I do request sincerely to look into it ASAP and see what is that we can do, so that our students can maximize even in this pandemic. At least they don't lose anything, and obviously in turn we can make our Monroe Township school system a better education. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
Madam Board President.
I don't know if you need to add to that since it was already discussed. Would you care to make any other statement on that? I mean, I think we would take it under advisement. It seems the public is very concerned about that. So we can have that discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Feldman?
Madam Board President, I do see Ms. Savarino in. She does not have her hand up, but I'm going to give her one more chance to speak just in case. So just give me about 10 seconds. Okay, at this point, I was not able to unmute her for whichever reason. So as of now, it looks like we just had one more person added onto the list. Samina Siddiqui, please state your name and address. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Samina Siddiqui. I live in Monroe Township, 15 Dalmar Way. And this is my first time attending the board meeting. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone and congratulations to the newly elected board members. I want to be involved in the board in some way, so I'm excited to see the growth in the community. So please let me know if I can be any help. And I'm very happy the way the old board members are working. So I want to be involved, and you guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank you for being involved in your interest, as we thank all 76 members of the public who are interested. Democracy only works when we all participate. So I thank you very much. And we expect to hear from you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Board President, we have Miriam Levon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miriam Ladden from 15 Golfview Court, Monroe Township, New Jersey. Congratulations, Happy New Year to all. I just want to reiterate what it said, urging the board and the school district to consider opening up the schools again on the 19th and going back to full days because our students deserve it. There may be some kids that are doing better at home, but from those that I have spoken to and those that I interact with, many need to go back in school and get back to a normal. So I'm asking for a consideration, so thorough consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Board President, we have Betty Severino. Betty, you're up.
Come on, Betty.
Okay, I'm going to try her one more time after this, but I'm going to go to Anthony Prezioso one more time.
Thank you.
Mr. Prezioso, if you'd like to speak, please state your name and address. Thank you. Okay, I didn't hear anything there. Madam Board President, I'm going to try Betty Saab one more time, and this is the last person on the list.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, Madam Board President, I couldn't hear anything. If you'd like to move on, we can. But that's one more person was added. Would you like me to
Yes,
unmute
please.
them?
And perhaps
Okay.
you can just say the telephone number in case someone chooses to call in. Because it's very important that anyone who chooses to participate has that opportunity.
Sure, let me announce that. Give me 5 seconds to dig that up.
I apologize for any of the delay, folks, but we'll try to work this technology out as best we can going forward.
Okay, that phone number is 1-408-418-9388, and the access code is 179-751-6660. I'll say it one more time. Phone number is 1-408-418-9388. Access code 179-751-6660. As of now, I'm going to go to Ram Radganath. Ram, if you could just state your name and address. Okay, as of now, it doesn't appear Mr. or Mrs. Radganath is there. There's no one else on the list as of now, Madam Board President.
I'm getting a message that Mr. Prezioso has tried twice. And he hasn't been able to get in.
I have him unmuted at the time.
Prezioso?
Right now.
Oh, there's Ram. Let's try Ram. Okay, we'll have to fix this. Again, we'll have another. Ram, are you there? We can't hear you, sir. Okay, this is sort of unacceptable, so we will try to work this out. With the board's permission, I'm wondering if when these people come back on, we should give them the opportunity, or shall we move on? I mean, oh, I hear somebody. Does anybody have a comment?
Do we have a second public session tonight?
Yes, we do. So we'll let them speak at any. We'll try to be cognizant of that and to let those. Mr. Feldman, anybody who wasn't able to get on, you can put them on first.
No problem. I'll take notes.
Okay.
Madam President, this is Andy Pelori here. As I see the participants, I'm not seeing the green light come up when people like Betty and Ram and others were trying to call. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's a problem is on our side or their side. The second thing is, if it's okay, Mr. Feldman, when you pronounce the names, especially the Indian names, some of these names are of gods for the Hindu religion. Ram is not a ram. So if you don't mind, ask them to pronounce it themselves, or maybe find a different way of pronouncing their names.
Okay.
No problem, Mr. Pelori.
All right. So we will move on at this time. We have, what is next? We did the forum. We have organizational items.
Yes, Ms. Arminio,
Yes.
if I may. We have 4 organizational items here, A through D. A being the meeting dates, B, policies, C, designation of banks and depositories, and D, newspaper for legal advertisements. These are required for the Board of Education to take action and continue going forward. And it is recommended that the members of the Monroe Township Board of Education approve the organizational items A through D by consent roll call. And just for our new members, consent roll call means you're approving A through D with 1 vote.
So moved.
I second it.
Is there any
That was
discussion?
Andy Pelori, second. Thank you.
Yes. Any discussion on that? If you want to separate out anything between A to D or ask a question on any of those, please feel free. Yes, Ms. Belko.
My question is about the meeting dates for the regular board. I noticed the March meeting date was on March 17th. Kelly is my maiden name, and that happens to be a night that we tend to celebrate in my home. So just for consideration, I'll move it to another night if I have to, but for consideration, that happens to be St. Patrick's Day. So I don't know if that's an issue for anybody else, or if there's any programs at the schools that are going to happen. I don't know what kind of programs we're doing, but I just wanted to point that out for anybody else who was interested.
Ms. Arminio?
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, beg your pardon for that planning on St. Patrick's Day. Ms. Belko and members, the preliminary budget hearing has got a very defined date schedule by the state of New Jersey. And this is likely to change, as it is frequent for the state to change their guidelines, and this date could be pushed forward or backwards. So we're approving it with the meeting schedule tonight, but it is subject to change.
So that's a good question. So some of these meetings may be subject to change, even though we are required by law to put out our meeting dates for the year.
That's correct. That's correct, especially the budget dates, because we don't have the state's budget calendar yet.
Okay, so to the public, this is our preliminary dates. We will try to hold as close to this as possible. However, we will have to give proper notice through the Open Public Meetings Act if anything's changed, and also if we add either special meetings or emergency meetings as our provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. So please stay tuned and always look either on the board, the district website, or certainly in public notices for changes in dates or additional dates. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Question? Ms. Belko.
Sorry. So I have yeah. So I have a question about item D, newspapers for the legal advertisements. I'm wondering if, I don't know, forgive me as I learn process here, but I have brought up previously as a resident about having our notifications go out to through electronic format. I know that we have it on our district website, but we have at our disposal township email. We also have at our disposal possible nixles. And before Mr. Byer leaves, oh, he's gone already, right? Didn't he leave in January? Oh boy, because he was really good. I hope somebody learned how to do the voice calls that out like he did, because nobody could do them like he did. But I wanted to make sure that we really consider making sure that we electronically put it out there, that when our meeting dates are and times that they are, and updates, as well as the links, if we're still going to be remote, the links for people to watch them. As we have come to know in the last almost year, this is the way how people get their information and how they get their time. So I wanted to mention that as we move forward and go to approve this.
Ms. Arminio?
Yes, go ahead.
Madam Board President and Ms. Belko, the board is required to have 2 approved newspapers for advertisement. However, as in the beginning of tonight's agenda, we advertise all of the meeting dates at all schools, the district website, Home News Tribune, Cranberry Press, filed with the clerk of the municipality. So we do our best to shotgun this broadcast out as widely as we can. If you have any other suggestions, by all means, let us know.
Well, I would take, the fact that our schools are not open and the municipality isn't quite open all the time, that to me is restrictive. So I think we would like to have that discussion. We can add to this legal advertisements tonight, again, because it's a reorganization meeting. We have to at least minimally have this, but I would like to see us add to that under Ms. suggestion. We have to talk to our administrators and leave that. I do believe that's a very good idea, and the more people who see our meetings, the better. Okay, but we can, Bell, could you have any objection to moving it to me? Ms. Belko?
No, I have no objection.
Okay, anyone else? May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. This is for organizational items A through D by consent roll call. Ms. Belko? Ms. Belko, how do you vote, ma'am?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Bierman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky? Mr. Pelori?
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
And Mrs. Arminio?
Yes.
Madam Board President, organizational items A through D has passed.
Okay, we have next is board action, business administrators report and recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. It is recommended to the members of the Monroe Township Board of Education to approve the following 2 board action items by separate roll call. One is for the board to accept the Alyssa's Grant Award in the amount of $387,668, as previously recommended by the Building Grounds Transportation Committee. In accordance with this grant, these funds will be utilized for the installation of a lens panic alarm system, which will provide an upgraded emergency notification system throughout the district. All of the cost of this system will be reimbursed by the state of New Jersey pursuant to our application. We need a certified resolution in order to complete the submission process to the state.
Okay, does this have a timely situation, Mr. Gorski? You know what, I guess we need a motion and a second first.
Yes.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Chair and Mr. Tufano. Any discussion?
Ms. Arminio, I will.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yeah, I just want to say that Alyssa's grant, that this is an excellent program. I mean, we're getting this money in a grant, and it's going to help us with, with our buildings, with security and things like that. So I would just ask everyone to please just accept it, and that's it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Generally, it seems to me that this is an exception to our reorganization meeting. Mr. Gorski, that this is a time stamp on this that needs to be done? I mean, certainly we want to vote to receive funds on a timely basis, but again, this is a little outside of a regular organization meeting. Is there any reason for that? Just
You are correct. You are correct. Generally, the board doesn't take any business during the org meeting except what we just approved through A through D. This is a unique grant that we applied for. We want to get right into the queue for the funds and have the board accept them, and that's why it's on tonight with the superintendent's permission.
Madam President, this is for Michael Gorski. I see that this is a security system, and we're going to be entering into a contract with a vendor. So there is terminology about terminating the lease by either party before June 30th. What is the cost of the actual equipment versus what the vendor's cost is? Do we have an approximate number?
Mr. Pelori, as this was presented previously to Building Grounds Transportation, all those details were ready at that time. I don't have them tonight. Tonight's resolution is simply to accept the funds.
My apologies, Mr. Gorski. I might have missed that meeting. So, yep, no worries. No worries.
So again, this is just to accept the funds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, well, and the funds are for the public, 387,000. Is that, am I calling it right? $387,668. So we certainly don't want to delay in accepting that money.
Very well.
We'll call if there's no other questions.
Thank you. Ms. Belko.
Yes.
Ms. Bierman.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Pelori.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Ms. Siegel.
Yes.
Ms. Skirby.
Yes.
Mr. Tufano.
Yes.
And Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Very good. Alyssa's grant award acceptance has passed. That takes me to the final item here, letter B. It is recommended that the Monroe Township Board of Education approve the previously submitted emergency SSO Food Service Management Company breakfast cost reimbursable contract between the School Food Authority and the Monroe Township Board of Education for the 2020-2021 school year. Board President and the Business Administrative Board Secretary are hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary steps to implement this action of the board. Need a first and a second, and I'll be happy to explain what this is.
First, it's Paul.
Second.
Thank you. Our cafeteria operation has suffered an impairment this year because of the schools being closed and COVID-19. The only lunches that we're preparing during the closures were the free and reduced lunches that we previously talked about at the board meetings. Because of this closure and impairment of this operation, we have certain fixed costs such as depreciation and salaries that we're required to continue to pay. Because of the continuation of these fixed costs, while not having the revenue reimbursement from the state and the collection of monies for the lunches from students, the fund has run into a net loss situation for the year ended June 30, 2020. This is commonplace amongst my colleagues and other school districts. They are also suffering worse than we are because the losses are to the extent where they are pushing the entire fund into a accumulated deficit position. That is a loss of CUSAC points. CUSAC is where the state of New Jersey comes in and does an audit periodically of the school district operations, including finance. And it would also require a loan from the general fund to support the solvency of the cafeteria fund in those instances, similar to what this board experienced before with MECA. So we are fortunate. We do not have a deficit situation. We still have some retained earnings left in the fund for the year ended June 30, 2020. However, looking forward to next year, Miss Cindy Schaller and some contribution from Miss Nancy Mitrasak Dr. Alvick and I met and we talked about another revenue generating segment to this fund, and that is an emergency breakfast proposal. We are planning to solicit anyone seeking a free breakfast. The free breakfast would cost the district approximately 90 cents to prepare, and the state reimbursement is twice that. So we have 100% profit on our cost, and it is projected that by beginning this program on the 11th day of January, providing breakfast 5 days a week, where those who elect can come pick them up, or in certain extreme circumstances, if they are unable to pick them up, we deliver, could generate an additional $66,205 of revenue, net income, for our cafeteria operation. This money is much needed next year and will help the solvency situation and keep us out of a accumulated deficit. However, this alone probably will not pull us out of it, and we are monitoring the situation. But this is much needed additional revenue that will help this fund.
Ms. Arminio?
Yes, please, Mr. Chiarella.
Mr. Gorski, how many children do we anticipate this helping?
Yeah.
Bear with me 1 second.
We did have a motion, right, and a second on this? Okay. Proceed.
Yes. We anticipate $1.89 of revenue times 625 students per day times 107 days, which would bring in $126,394, less our costs, which would be $60,188, which would leave a potential profit to the district of $66,206.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Karen German?
Hi. What did we do to ascertain the interest in this? Like, we know we have students that are interested in this.
Madam President?
Yes.
It's an excellent question. Most districts only qualify for a breakfast program if they have very high, over 50% free and reduced population numbers. Monroe is traditionally 5 to 7%. So generally we wouldn't qualify. However, guidance came recently from the state where they said this program is open to anybody despite your statistics for free and reduced lunch. The state's pushing this money out to help districts maintain solvency. I'm hearing from some colleagues that are aggressively handing out breakfasts to a large population of people. And Ms. Schaller brought this to my attention. She said that we could gear up for this very quickly. The only thing we need is the resolution of the board tonight, and we could begin to operate on the 11th of January.
Yes, but I think that, go ahead, Karen. I think you have an additional question.
Well, I guess, so I'm not clear on how we know there's interest here, that we actually have customers for the program, so to speak. And the other thing is, how are we doing on the lunch side? Has that been robust program that was offered with lunch? Did all of the people that committed to picking up, did they see that through? And has that been, a successful program that you would think that the breakfast would piggyback onto it, so to speak?
Yes, I beg your pardon. I misunderstood. We based our projections off of the number of parents who previously requested free lunches for their students. So this is a similar projection, assuming that those who want free lunch would also participate in the free breakfast. They'll pick up both at the same time.
So how many free lunches are we providing at this time?
I believe the number is 625.
That's where you're getting 625 from? You're assuming that? Okay.
Yes.
What happens if it's short of that? I'm sorry, Ms. Bierman, did you want to continue? I apologize.
No, just thank you for the answer.
If we're short of that participation number, we will still recognize 100% profit on every breakfast that we turn over. But these are conservative estimates, and we anticipate that we will exceed these numbers.
Okay, again, but assuming that we don't, we will still have to pay the food service for lunches prepared, even if we don't get them to distribute?
There is no heavy gear up of additional staff for this program. They're already there preparing the free lunches. This would just add another complement for breakfast. There is a slight labor cost. It's variable, so it would be commensurate with the number of breakfasts prepared and desired.
And you said we have retained earnings. What is the amount of that at this time?
The retained earnings is in the vicinity of a couple $1,000s. It is unaudited. So the fund is barely solvent.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Mr. Tufano?
Mike, I have a question. As far as, did you check with our insurance carrier whether there will be any liability in the preparation of food or anything that can happen to the public if the food is not prepared correctly, or someone claims salmonella or any kind of food poisoning? Are we covered? Our insurance covers that kind of claim, or?
Yes, I assure you that was job one before we would present something like this. All the insurance consequences are looked at and satisfied.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President.
Yes, sir. Mr. Polari.
This question is for Mike again. Mike, I understand the cost differential. You said that it's 100% return for breakfast delivery. Did you consider the cost of actually delivering them if you need to go around the township to do, and the incidental cost, not just for the preparing the labor, but also distribution costs associated with it?
Yes, there are a few people who elect to have us deliver because they cannot pick them up. Most participants pick them up, and we have staff on duty already. So it's already a fixed cost that's taking the lunches out to students. In many cases, we're using our transportation department vehicles, which require some exercise so the batteries stay fresh.
And can the program be, can we dismantle the program if it doesn't work, or are we committed to going forward till the end of June?
We have extremely high confidence that it will work. If there's some really unforeseen circumstance here where we're not recognizing 100% profit on every breakfast that we serve, a resolution of the board can cancel the program at any time.
Yeah, Madam President, what I was going to suggest is to reevaluate this in 3 months from now and then make a determination. If it's going well, then we continue it. If not, we can have a separate discussion.
Okay, Mr. Gorski, can you put a 3-month period on 90 days and we'll reevaluate the program and let us know?
Yes, if it pleases the board.
I think it's a
good President. It sounds great for a committee agenda item for finance.
Thank you.
Report on operations. You know, again, we have very high expectations of our profit projections. This is almost a gimme from the state. It's passing through federal money, and you know, many school districts are taking advantage of this. This is almost designed in a way to serve those in need with the breakfast program, while also providing much needed lifeblood for the cafeteria programs to avoid general fund loans.
Okay, Mr. Brutsky.
Yeah, I was really more of a comment than a question, but Mike just touched on it. Like, I love all the commentary, the questions, like covering our back, so to speak, but let's not forget that there's a huge problem with food insecurity right now.
Right.
And so free breakfast, along with any free lunches, will be widely used. And it's a great thing to get out to the community. And to make 100% profit is just a win-win. But first and foremost, we're doing something really good for the people in need in the district when it comes to food. The food pantries are busting at the seams with demand. So to get this from the state and process it through the school district is just a very efficient way of getting it out to the school children. So I'm glad we're doing it. I wish we started sooner, but it's a great program. And so thank you, Michael.
That's an excellent point. Great input. Mr. Chiarella.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Paul said. I don't think that I think that we should make sure that there isn't a stigma attached to this too, because I think there are many people in bad shape, and I think that you know, our first objective should be to make sure that the kids are fed and taken care of, and doing it in such a way that wouldn't embarrass families and things like that. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
So on that note, is it possible for us to notify the parents, or is there a process in which we're doing that to get maximum requests, not just for financial purposes. I'm speaking same thing, to reach out and offer this service.
Madam? Yes, Dr. Alvick and Cindy Schallert, our food service director, replacing Nancy Mitrusak, and we developed a broadcast campaign. We're going to solicit the help of Elliot Feldman, and we're going to blast this solicitation of free breakfast to the whole community, and anybody who elects it can have it.
Great. That may be the same kind of blast Katie Belko suggested for our meetings. So we'll talk about that as well. But okay, anyone else? Are we ready for a vote? Please, Mr. Morrison.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Ms. Bierman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pelori?
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky?
Yes.
Ms. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
And Ms. Arminio?
Yes, and I just want to thank Mr. Chiarella and Mr. Rutsky for that perspective. I think that was missing, certainly in my mind, and I thought it was excellent. Thank you.
Madam Board President, motions, both motions pass. That concludes my business administrator's report. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's see. I really don't have a report, so I am next, right? But I would like to say just that by, I guess in way of a report, by committing ourselves to acting in the public interest, I think this board can bring hope to all of our Monroe. And the care, and we can care and encourage our students to excellence. So that would be my report for tonight. Thank you. Any other Board of Education business?
Ms. Arminio, I do.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes, I just have a couple things quickly. Number one, I'd like to just give my condolences to the mayor's family, Mayor Tamborough's family, for their profound loss. It's also a major loss to our township. So I just wanted to send those condolences. I also wanted to congratulate you, Madam President, on becoming our president. And I think you'll be an excellent leader. And Mr. Nicotinsky, I'd like to congratulate you as well. And of course, Mrs. Skirby, Mrs. Belko, and Ms. Berman on your taking your seats, on your swearing in, on your election win. I just wanted to say that I'm looking forward to working with you. And my last wish is just to wish everyone a happy new year. And I really hope that as a board, we could come together. Maybe, it's healthy for us to disagree. It's healthy for us to have open and honest disagreements. And I think open and honest disagreements in public. I think that's healthy in a lot of ways, as long as we're not disrespectful and attacking each other and making it personal. I think that it could be healthy. And I also just ask and hope and wish that we could have some fun doing this. We do this for free. It's not easy, and I'm not complaining. I love it, and I love serving the people. But I also think that we could put aside our personal politics and our personal prejudices and maybe just have some fun too while we're trying to get the best out of each other and do what's right for the kids. That's it. Thank you.
Madam President, can I go next?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll piggyback on what Ken said for just a second, because one of the things I always do at the first meeting, and so this is my 9th year as a board member, and some have done it longer. I think Ken has for sure, and some are new. So one of the first things I do at the reorg meeting is I read the code of ethics, and there's 12 things on there, and I think it's a great reminder. And to what Ken was just saying, with discussions and open debate and keeping it healthy, I think the code of ethics leads us right to those healthy conversations, and keeps it professional and keeps it respectful. So I too look forward to that, and I think that can make for a good year. Going back to, I thought it was going to be on item 10 of the agenda. We went right through. Were we not supposed to give out plaques to our retiring board members tonight?
I was wondering that myself, Mr. Rutsky. I thought that that was going to be part of, and I don't know why.
Other board members, I think maybe this is a great time to thank them for their service and award them their plaques. Assuming we have plaques.
I don't know if they're on, right?
Mrs. Arminio, we do have the plaques in possession.
That's fine. If we want to do that, I have to turn my computer back on, but go ahead. How are we doing this? Are they participants in Mr. Ryback, Ms. DeMayo, and Ms. Koloponowicz? Are they on the participant list?
They are not.
Why don't we wait until next month, Mr. Rutsky? I'd certainly like them to be.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not on, or maybe we just do it and it's recorded and.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
That would be up to you or the administrators.
I don't have a copy of the plaque, so I will ask Dr. Alvick to read it, and we would thank our previous members for their service. Do you have one plaque, Doctor?
I do.
Okay.
I have the first plaque says, presented to Kathy Koloponowicz in sincere appreciation for dedicated service to the students and schools of Monroe Township while serving as a board member of the Monroe Township Board of Education, 1999 to 2020.
Okay.
Madam President, I'll be remiss if I didn't speak up right now. For somebody who's worked on this board for 21 years, who's not even on the Board of Education right now to listen to, just washing this off and saying that I'm going to read it out and we're done with it is just unconceivable to me. This is not the example we want to set to the public. This is not the example we want to set to our kids. We need to respect them, and with that respect comes that they're properly invited, properly taken into consideration for what they have done for this township. So I would not want to be read like this, and I don't wish that on any one of you who are sitting on the board right now. I think it needs to be done in a proper way, and I feel very strongly about that.
Would you like to table the reading of the plaques, Mr.
Madam President, can I make a recommendation?
Certainly.
So we've also not done our recommendations for our students this year because of COVID. For our, we still haven't recognized our Teachers of the Year from last year because of COVID. I will do a quick presentation at the next board meeting that I'll discuss with you about, last year's recipients of Teachers of the Year, because we've just named this year's recipients, but we still haven't recognized them. My suggestion would be that at a future board meeting, when we can actually be in person again, that we bring back the students and the staff and the former board members and recognize them the way that we've recognized everyone else in the past.
That's a very good idea. I would like the support of the total board on that. Mr. Rutsky, had a position and Mr. Polari has one. I'm going to remain neutral. Does anyone else on the board have? Yes, Ms. Bierman.
I mean, I know it's COVID and it's difficult, but we can't give those kids back graduation, prom, or anything else that they miss. So I think sometimes you got to just do the best you can with what you have to work with and move on. So, my opinion.
Maybe Andy has a point, though. Maybe they should get proper invitations to the next board meeting, and it'll be an agenda item, and at that time, they could be recognized instead of them not being here.
1 minute, Ms. Belka. Unfortunately, it wasn't. We didn't acknowledge the newly elected in December before the end of last year. They were never really acknowledged. The election results were not, put into the public. And also in December, we should have, as was our custom, to thank our outgoing board members. So there were a lot of the last board didn't put it on the agenda, which I was surprised. But Ms. Belko, go ahead.
I was going to speak similar to that, but also to the same thing that with Karen said. I had 3 seniors last year, and we did have a graduation ceremony on the football field, but they missed their senior prom, they missed their junior prom, they missed a lot of stuff all because of COVID. And I do believe that the 3 outgoing board members at the December meeting were afforded an opportunity to speak at their last meeting. They were afforded an opportunity to talk about the work that they did. They were thanked by the board at that time. If the board or administration didn't have plaques or anything ready for them, something to that nature could have been mentioned. But I'm kind of on the same page as Karen, where we kind of, this is what it is. And yes, God bless anybody who puts up 21 years of any kind of a board service. I know that I've done many years in different community services, and it's not an easy task to do. However, we are in difficult times. We are living in a pandemic, and this will be our story. So this will be, I tell my children, this will be your story to tell your children. I didn't have a graduation. I didn't have a prom. I still have 3 brand new prom dresses, no alterations, sitting in a closet. So I just think we need to move on.
Okay, I'm going to.
Miss Arminio, if
I'm
I
just
may,
noticing something because it was literally on the agenda.
Mr. Rutsky, could I have Ms. Siegel first?
Thank you, Ms. Arminio. What I wanted to say, I actually do like Dr. Alvick's idea. I do believe that it's been tradition in our board to have plaques presented to our board members that are leaving. There are certain traditions that we hold in town. I know I had a child who didn't graduate, but I think what the school district came up with as an alternative was phenomenal. So I think when we can, if there's some way that we can recognize the teachers, the staff, everyone that's supposed to get awards some way, something creative. I think our school district has done a phenomenal job with coming up with creative solutions. I think we should honor our board members the way that they deserve to be honored. 20 something years is just amazing. You don't see that too often anymore. And Steve and Jill, 6 years on a board is a lot of time too. They've added so much value. So I think when it is safe to do something, I think we should do something in person to honor them.
Mr. Rutsky first, and then Mr. Polari, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out that it was on the agenda, and so I would think that they would have known it was on the agenda and they would have made themselves available. And then I see as of this morning or yesterday, it was removed from the agenda. And so I would only guess that they saw that it was no longer on the agenda, so they did not join the meeting tonight. But I don't know why it was removed from the agenda in the first place. It was all set up and ready to go.
Right. I have no idea.
So I don't know why that happened or how that happened, but obviously that something to that effect is why they're not on the meeting tonight. And I agree. Everybody deserves their due. They serve their public. They deserve their plaques. That's the last I'll say.
Mr. Polari?
Madam President, this is the type of discussion that really turns off our community when we go on and on about stuff that's not related to the kids. So we need to put discussions like this to bed very quickly. And I completely agree with Dr. Alvick's suggestion that when the schools open up, because they're not going to leave the town, let's give them a proper plaque when the schools open up, just like we're going to do for the teachers and students, and put this to bed quickly so that we can move on to the next topic. Thank you.
I'm going to make a managerial decision at this time. Since we read the first plaque, Dr. Alvick, will you read the other 2, and then we will conclude that for tonight.
I'm not sure if I understand that. We're saying that we're going to do this at an in-person meeting.
No, we aren't. Dr. Alvick read 1 plaque. She's going to read 2 others. If we choose down the road when things change to present it in person, we shall. But since we started, we're going to at least recognize the other 2. Would you please read Dr. Alvick? The other 2 plaques. You read 1. I'd like you to read the other 2, and then we will be finished with that for tonight.
The second plaque is presented to Stephen Rybeck in sincere appreciation for dedicated service to the students and schools of Monroe Township while serving as a board member of the Monroe Township Board of Education, 2015 to 2020.
Thank you. The next one.
And the third plaque is presented to Jill DeMeo in sincere appreciation for dedicated service to the students and schools of Monroe Township while serving as a board member of the Monroe Township Board of Education, 2015 to 2020.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize for missing that one. Anything left? We have other board.
Madam President.
Yeah. Mr. Nicotinsky.
Yeah, are we going to advertise the position for the in-house counsel?
Oh, I think that might be something, since we are doing board business tonight, I guess we would need a resolution to begin that. Does anyone like to, Mr. Nicotinsky, do you have a resolution to advertise for in-house counsel?
The position for in-house counsel.
Sure.
So moved.
Okay, that's a second. Do you want to, I guess we need a vote on that.
Ms. Arminio, I beg your pardon. Who was the first and who was the second?
Mr. Nicotinsky and seconded by Ms. Belko. We need to get that started. You understand, Mr. Gagliardi, right?
Of course.
Thank you. We don't know when that's going to happen, but it is a job description that we need, I believe, and we'd like to have that advertised. Any other comments? Can we take a vote on that? And do you need a time frame, Mr. Gorski? Can that happen immediately?
No, as it stands now, administratively with Dr. Alvik, Dr. Lehman, Kathy, Christine Christie, our HR director, we will take a look at the job posting and then put together an advertisement as quickly as possible.
Yeah, hopefully even before the next meeting. Mr.
Are we advertising for a single employee to represent the district, or we're advertising for a firm?
We have a firm now, so I think we're advertising for an in-house counsel.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Gagliardi, you are our firm.
Is that consensus?
I'm here for as long as you need me.
Okay, thanks.
Michelle, is that the consensus, or are you just making that up?
Am I making what up?
About the decision to have an in-house counsel? Because isn't that a discussion that we want to have as a board to see whether we want to have an in-house counsel or have a firm represent us?
I thought that was established in the last months of last year, November.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Yes, we did have that conversation in November and December.
Okay, Mr. Nicotinsky, would you like to clarify your resolution? And then we can have the discussion to advertise.
The resolution, we just need to hire the position for in-house counsel. Basically, Mary's job.
Ms. Arminio, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I thought when we had the discussion that we were leaving this for the new board to decide whether we wanted to have an in-house counsel or continue on a retainer. That's what I remember from our last discussions. We were waiting for the new board.
Okay.
If my memory serves me correct.
Ms. Arminio, I believe that's correct.
Yes, I think
this is the new board.
Okay. So
well, that's the point. If this is a new board, did we have a discussion?
Well, go ahead and discuss.
Could have a discussion now.
You want to have the discussion?
I'll start the discussion.
Okay.
If I may. I think that having in-house counsel has benefited us in the past. I think that it saved us a lot of money. No offense, Mr. Gagliardi, but when we had outside firms representing us, I'm not going to mention those firms, but we spent a great deal more money than we did by hiring Mary Smith as our in-house attorney. So my opinion is that that's the way we should go.
Any comments?
Mike, if I recall correctly, I think the discussion was to see what is going to benefit our district and cost us less, even though we're in a financial bid every single time. So were those analyses done, and can you give us an approximate cost of what it would cost from a dollar-to-dollar perspective, whether using an in-house counsel versus hiring a firm to represent us?
I can only tell you what happened in the past. In the past, we did have an outside firm. One of the attorneys who worked on our account the most, Mary Smith, was cherry-picked for a in-house position. It was posted. She was the only applicant. And she carried a wealth of knowledge over all the vast areas of law that's required for an in-house counsel. with certain exceptions. Like a physician, you're still going to have specialists, bond counselor, et cetera. Those are still outsourced. Generally, Mary's experience and wealth of knowledge was very diverse. That savings at the time was about $100,000 was saved every year that we have had an in-house counselor compared to what we were paying on average before.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Nicotinsky, did you have your hand raised, sir?
I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else?
Madam President, it wasn't clear to me from the initial discussion
Yes.
whether the motion was simply to advertise or advertise and create a job description. And I just want the motion to be clear, because if a job description needs to be created, one can be created and then submitted to the board for approval at an upcoming meeting. But if you don't have one, you ought to have one. Again, I don't make motions, I'm just here to advise. But if you don't have one, I respectfully suggest it's not part of the motion. It should.
Ms. Arminio, I beg your pardon, we certainly do have one. If I wasn't clear, it was just to take another look at it, update it with commensurate with law changes and so on.
Well, if it's so, if we have approval from the board and we want to discuss that before the next meeting in personnel and make sure the job description is okay, but we have, I don't know, we have a motion to vote on. So I agree, we should have a job description.
All we're doing is advertising the position. We're not hiring anybody right now. We're just advertising.
Yes, but we have to advertise what the position is. I would imagine that does require.
And we have that. We have that position. It's vacant.
We had a job description for our previous council, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure that the law has changed significantly. Mr. Gagliardi, has the law changed significantly about in-house counsel?
I haven't seen the job description, but there's nothing wrong with proceeding as you suggested, Madam President, which is assuming the motion passes, advertise, and the Personnel Committee can review the job description to see if it needs to be updated between now and when you hire a candidate.
Okay, we'll take that as advised. Mr. Polari.
Madam President, if I recall correctly, the last meeting, the way we left it off is to kind of leave it to the new board. It's going to be a firm or it's going to be an individual, which we discussed already. And then we also said that Mr. Gagliardi's firm is going to represent us to a certain time period. And I believe, if I am not mistaken, it was until March 30th as a 1-month extension, Mike. So there's a timing schedule that we need to work within so that we have an attorney on the board. I mean, quite honestly, I questioned several times to the previous board presidents that an attorney or a counsel need to sit on our board at every single meeting so that we don't go off the rails like we do sometimes. So my question to Michael Gorski, please help us, Mike, here to see what was the discussion last time, where did we leave it, and where do we need to pick it up to finish it?
Yes.
Well, before Mr. Gorski answers that, if you please, I believe that it is either an in-house counsel or continue with Mr. Gagliardi's firm, which we have until March 30th as I think that's a 30-day option after February. So that was implied, Mr. Polari, that I think we were doing that in order to get a new in-house counsel. And that was my interpretation of the discussion in November and December. So I didn't think there was any question as to a reevaluation of whether we should have one or the other. I thought,
the point I'm trying to make is that the timing wise, whether the ad is created now and get an approval from the board at the next February board meeting, then you're really not giving enough time for candidates to be applying for it, interviewing it by the March 30th. So what I'm going to suggest to Adi is if he wants to make a motion to create and advertise, if the decision is already made, then we knock out a month of process before March 30th is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I think that's what his motion was about.
Really? Okay.
Okay. Mr. Gorski, do you have anything that you've written down that might work?
The only thing that I have from my recollection of this discussion, which I'm pretty familiar with still, is that there was a crunch on time to, number one, review the job description, number two, to advertise based on that job description, because that's where the ad comes from.
Right.
Number three is to screen candidates, whoever is going to assume that task. Number four is to recommend finalists. The ad itself could take a number of weeks in the papers. So you could you could be running right up to that March deadline with this in-house aspect. You obviously have the option to extend this further than March with another resolution of the board if you get tripped up. That's up to you.
Okay, so I think we should move forward with the motion to advertise and in the interim, get a job description, because we don't know how long it's going to take for someone to respond. So shall we have Mr. Gagliardo, is it appropriate to have a vote now?
Yes, it is, Madam President.
Would you like to clean up our language so we do it properly, or shall we have Mr. Gorski write it up?
Well, my understanding of the sentiment of the board is that the motion is to authorize the administration to advertise for the position of an in-house counsel. And my understanding is that at your direction, Madam President, the Personnel Committee is going to look at the current job description to see if it needs to be modified. What that means is that the advertisement probably won't be finalized until you look at the job description, but it doesn't require any further action of the board. So you're not going to be holding this up until January 20th or February. When the Personnel Committee blesses the advertisement, you can proceed with the, when the Personnel Committee blesses the job description, you can proceed with advertising, assuming the board authorizes it tonight, which I think it's about to do. So I think you have everything lined up the way you need it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gorski, did you want to,
Mr. Arminio, the only thing I would ask Mr. Gagliardi is whenever the board changes a job description, said job description is always approved by the Board of Education. So it may have to go back to the full board for vote if there are any changes to the job description. That's how we've always done it in the past.
My assumption is if the Personnel Committee can meet sometime between tonight and January 20th, that if you need to make any changes that are not that are substantive, right? I don't think changing one word requires board action, but in any event, if you're making any substantive changes, the board can still ratify that on January 20th. I understand the board doesn't want to see this drag on. And quite frankly, and I'll say this, whether it were my firm or any of the firms, a lawyer has an ethical obligation to protect his client's interests. Even if you proceed quickly and you get a group of candidates that you don't like and you want to re-advertise, it's not like I turn into a pumpkin on March 30th. I've got to protect you until you tell me you don't need me anymore. So I think you can proceed quite comfortably.
Thank you, sir. I think that's a comfort. And, maybe you look good in orange. I'm not sure. Okay, shall we have a vote then?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Belko.
Yes.
Ms. Bierman.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mr. Nicotinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Pelori.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Ms. Siegel.
Yes.
Ms. Skirby.
Yes.
Ms. Skirby, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Tufano.
Yes.
And Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes unanimously.
Did we get Mr. Pelori, Evo?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Did we have, I don't see another public portion after this.
Madam President, we're still in the other board business. I don't know if anybody else, I would like to say a thing or two.
Okay, I apologize.
It's okay, no need for apologies. We just want to do the board business. First, I want to congratulate everybody who's been elected and taking new positions today, and I certainly am looking forward to a new beginning in the board. As Ken said, one thing that I ask staff all the time is, are you having fun? And when somebody says they're not having fun, I say you should be looking for a different job. And I wish anybody, when I asked the same question to myself over the last 2 years, my answer was not, yes. So I should have looked for another job. But here we are, the third and the last year of my term. I'm hoping that, as a team, 10 of us come together to do the things we need to do so that we put the school district back on track, put a long-term solution that none of us need to look back again and be proud of what we're doing, and really looking forward to working with people. Let us keep this as business. And like Ken said, and I'm going to repeat, Kenny, it's almost like you stole my thunder on this, is that let's not get personal about things. We all have our own opinions, and opinions can stay with us. As far as the communication within the board is concerned, let's keep it to the board business only, please. So I would appreciate it moving forward. And I do have, Mr. Feldman, please don't take me incorrectly. And I do pronounce names wrong from time to time, and I get corrected in my public setting and otherwise. So similarly, if you have issues with pronunciation, just stick with the last name. That's my suggestion, because a lot of people from the Indian community tend to come out of the public meeting and speak. So that's my only comment. And I'm glad one way or the other we resolved the issue, because I think I have seen a lot of email traffic and had conversations with Steve. Things seem to be going haywire about this simply presenting a plaque today, and that should never be the case. I think we need to stand as a testimony for our kids in the community that we do the right thing at the end of the day, and that's all I was trying to get at. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Good luck for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm sorry that I didn't recognize Mr. Polari before. Would anyone else like to bring up any other board business? Okay. Seeing none at this time, like I said, there is no public portion. We usually do have one. So I would like at least Mr. Feldman, if there is any, with the permission of the board, if anybody objects, please say so. I know it's getting late for a reorg meeting, but I would like to give anybody the opportunity that hadn't been able to speak in the other public portion to speak. Mr. Feldman, is there anybody there?
Yes, I do see 3 members that didn't get a chance to speak, Madam Board President.
Again, please, sir.
Sure. Charles DiPiero, if you'd like to speak, please present your name and your address.
Hi, this is Beth DiPiero, 404 Spotswood Gravel Hill Road. I do want to congratulate all the new members of the Board of Ed, and I am looking forward to listening in to all the new upcoming meetings that we're going to be having. I do want to make a comment about the awards or the plaques that you're talking about. We've never done this in the past. Why all of a sudden is it a precedence that we do this?
I think Mr. Piero, that we have presented people with plaques, and apparently there have been other times that we have not. So I think what we'll do is we'll get our act together and maybe put it in a policy at the end of someone's term.
Just want to make sure the people of the past aren't being overlooked either, because I've been to these meetings for years, more than all of you have probably lived here in Monroe, and I've never seen anything like that before. So I was just wondering why all the pressure and the pushing for this all of a sudden. Okay, thank you for your concern and for getting back to me, and I just wish everyone the best and a happy and healthy new year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Board President, we have Betty Savarino.
Try it, Betty.
Good evening, Betty Sabrito, 2 Barrymore Drive. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Great. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope that 2021 for our school district is just slightly better than 2020. That's all I can hope for. I wanted to say congratulations to everybody who was elected. On a personal note, I am honored to have you on the board. I am so looking forward to this change. And I wanted to congratulate Mrs. Arminio and Mr. Nikotinsky. I think you are going to do outstanding jobs, Mrs. Arminio. We met simply at a board meeting because about 6 years ago, I started sitting at the back of the library saying, wow, I aspire to be what Mrs. Arminio is. I don't always agree with your votes, but I always respect them, and you are a class act. I certainly hope you are given the respect that you deserve, because I have seen far too often while you have been on this board that you have been disrespected many, many times. So I hope that doesn't continue. And then on behalf of CPAG, I wanted to ask if you would consider perhaps having a board liaison with CPAG. I think with over 19% of our student population falling under special education, and many times when I speak about it up at board meetings, I notice that a lot of the board members just aren't aware of some of the challenges and some of the great things that are happening in special education. So if you could consider having a liaison, and I'll wait for the next budget meeting, but I also want to bring up again the fact about the special education budget and how we'd really like to see a full breakdown of what we're receiving versus what we're spending on special education. That's all. Thank you again, all of you, for your service, and may this be a good new year for everybody.
Thank you.
Madam Board President, we have Ragana.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Please state your
Thank
name.
you. Yeah, Ram Ranganath, 6 Owens Drive, Monroe. Again, thank you to the board for accommodating me. I guess I know I was trying to get through last time. I don't know why. First, I want to congratulate Ms. Arminio for being elected the president of POE. And Mr. Dzikinski, congratulations for being elected the vice president. I'm really looking forward to both of your leadership. Also want to congratulate Ms. Kirby, Ms. Bierman, Ms. Belko, the incoming board members, and also thank the outgoing members. I thought the December session of the BOE did a bit of justice in recognizing their work and service. A couple of things. I think Mr. Chirella stole a lot of my words, and Andy as well. Right? I think really I'm looking for this board, right, to really work together and let's do the best for our children, our staff, right, and this township, right? Let's set up a good model. Like today, I'm so impressed to see on this board, we have 5 women and 5 men, and including the superintendent, we have 6 women here in the screen here. So congratulations, right? I'm really looking for this team to really come together, put aside differences, and let's get it done. Let's put Monroe again on top of the leaderboard, not just in New Jersey, but across the United States, right? Today at the Board of Education, I could witness 2 discussions. One was on the food that Mr. Gorski had suggested on the breakfast and trying to bridge the potential hole that could take place. I thought that was a very healthy discussion and led to a good outcome, right? Then on the in-house legal person, that is a good example of a discussion that was just a pure waste of time for the audience, the public. So there are 2 good examples today that, at least for me, rung a bell. I'm hoping there will be more of the first one. There will be differences. There should be differences. But again, I just want to make sure that everyone puts the school, the children, and the educators up front. And important thing to note is the audience here are cheerleaders for all of you. You guys are all not paid. You're sacrificing your time and service to the community. So we are all here to support you, right? So please count on us, call on us, and let's partner to really be successful for this township. Thank you.
Thank you for your support. Next.
Madam Board President, we have Pradeep Palam.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Palam.
Yeah, this is Pradeep, 4J Place. I just want to reiterate one of the requests from Gazala that if at all we are going full remote, I request the administration to look into open up for full day schedule for middle school and high schoolers, because I'm repeating the same thing from the last meeting, that when after the parent teacher conference in the high school, everybody is saying that this course cannot be completed with this half day schedule. It is going to put a lot of pressure on the kids as well as the teachers. It is going to affect a lot of high schoolers, especially on the seniors and juniors, because they are at the edge of the graduating. So I request administration to look into this. And congratulations to Michelle for being an elected president, and Adi for being vice president and new members. Thanks. That's it from me.
Thank you. Mr. Feldman?
Madam Board President, we have 2 more speakers as of now. Krishna Takali.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Krishna Tekale, 11 Jake Place. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Happy New Year to all the members and attendees on the today's meeting. Congratulations to the new members, Ms. Kirby, Ms. Bierman, and Ms. Belkov. And thank you to the outgoing members, Ms. Kathy Kalpanovich, Jill DiMaio, and Mr. Steve Ryback. The question that I wanted, and congratulations to you, Michelle, on becoming the board president, and congratulations, Adi. I wanted to bring one topic up, right? I mean, this is basically piggybacking of what Ram said before. The conversation we had about, do we have a council or a firm that is in-house counsel, or do we need a firm to represent us? And what I've heard is like everybody saying, as if my memory serves me right, I've seen many members of the board say that repeatedly. This is concerning as a person sitting outside and hearing in, is when we shouldn't have our members to rely on their memory. We should go back and look at the meeting minutes from the last board meetings, right? This is very concerning. I think we need to have a better transcript process and a better process to document our meeting minutes. We need to be very clear about what we have discussed so that we do not have the conversations over and over again. I wanted to bring that out to your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Board President, as of now, this is the last speaker. We have Renee Kokoska.
Okay, don't need video. My name is Renee Kokoska. I live at 231 Mounts Mills Road in beautiful Monroe Township, New Jersey. Happy New Year. Welcome and congratulations to everybody, et cetera, et cetera. I was wondering if there is any kind of rule on the books for when a child fails the test. Is there any process where the teacher has to notify the parents? And if it's not just one test, what does the teacher have to, is required to reach out to the parent and let the parent know that, hey, your kid is failing miserably? Is there any rule about that?
Dr. Albert or Dr. Lehman, I don't know who would be in charge of something like that. So either one of you want to answer or both?
Well, there's no rule about it. There are different ways that teachers communicate with parents, so it would depend on the way that the teacher communicates with a parent. We use Genesis as our student information system. So depending on the grade that the child is in, parents can access Genesis to see what scores are. Teachers also use Schoology at the high school. Teachers and parents can look at Schoology at the high school, Google Classroom. There's a lot of ways that a teacher would get that information. If you have a specific question about your child, you can feel free to reach out to the principal or myself or Dr. Lehman.
Renee, are you still? Okay, we can't hear you right now.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
go ahead. We can hear you now.
So I got a progress report on October 10th. He was actually, yet his average in math was 46. I got his.
I think, Renee, may I stop you? I believe that this is sort of discussing a specific student is probably more appropriately done in private. We have privacy issues with students, Dr. Lehman and Dr. Albert. Is that correct? We probably should not.
Over notified. I was told in the factory. Is there a way we can make a rule or policy to where a teacher should or somebody needs to reach out to the parent to say, hey, this is going on? Because I spoke to several parents and they weren't aware of how they looked at math scores on tests. So maybe better communication could be developed where the teacher should reach out to the parent, because I was totally unaware of what was going on until somebody reached out to me, and it wasn't the teacher.
Dr. Lehman?
Well, my recommendation would be to reach out to the building principal and we can look at that. It sounds like it's a specific issue.
I think it's the parent to look up these grades if the child is failing. Why shouldn't the school reach out to the parent when the child is failing? That's, I guess, better worded maybe. I don't know what, why should the parent have to constantly look up these grades? If the child needs help, the school should be reaching out, and they're not. And that's the problem.
Ms. Arminio, I'm not aware of the situation right now to speak specifically about her child. I know I spoke with her. I've spoken with her previously.
Okay, just very quickly, go through the chain of command, how a parent should do it, and then you can talk to Dr. Lehman about maybe establishing some kind of precedent, some kind of.
The chain of command would be the teacher would reach out to, if the teacher had a question, or I'm sorry, if the parent had a question or a concern, the parent should reach out to the teacher first, then the school principal, then it would go to Dr. Lehman or me.
And should it be in writing so there is a clear chain of command memorialization?
But it's something that's communicated out pretty regularly, but I don't know where it's written. I mean, I'm sure it's someplace in the student handbook, but I could check on that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Feldman, anyone else?
Madam Board President, that's it for now.
Okay, so I do see that we have a closed session. Is that correct? As next.
Yes, we do have a closed session. It's HIB.
Okay, so I guess I'll read the closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves into closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21 to discuss the following subjects. And it's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I think we'll start to put a little bit more information on that, respecting students' privacies. But also the following closed session action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public in such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Do we have a time frame as to how long this will take, Dr.?
Should be about 10 minutes.
Okay, so in 10 minutes, we hope to return. If it goes way beyond that, we'll send somebody out to let the public know.
So just for the new board members, just so that they're aware, I know I put it in an email to them today. You should log out of this meeting and log into the Zoom invite that you received today in email.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
I just a reminder, I need a first, a second, and an all in favor type of roll call.
Correct. Shall I have a first and second? Please?
First.
Mr. Tufano first and Chrissy Skirby seconded.
Chrissy second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? Nope. Okay. We should be back in 10 minutes to the public. Thank you very much.
Madam President, my understanding from the superintendent was that I was not needed for the executive session, so I will excuse myself and look forward to working with you for as long as it lasts.
Mr. Gagliardi, it is our pleasure. Thank you, sir, for participating.
Thank you very much.
And for your advice.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Is January 20th, 2021. And do I have a motion? Oh, since there was no action taken, there won't be a public portion for the closed session. So do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
So we have Ms. Belko and then I think it was Andy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Happy New Year to everyone. I wish everyone a good night and see you on the 20th, if not sooner. Thank you all. Thank you.
Everybody.